The city of Vancouver is developing a new plan to address the homeless situation in the city. Fox 12's Sarah Horwitz takes a closer look at that plan after speaking with homeless campers.
If you forget everything in this video, forget the statistics, the cities, the faces, the stories, please do not forget this. You are loved. You still have dignity. You still have value. God has not forgotten you, and neither have we. Most days, the world talks about the homeless like a problem to be solved, a number on a chart, a headline to scroll past. But at Homeless Lens, we want to say something different. If you are sleeping on a sidewalk, if you are in a shelter bed, if you are in a tent under a bridge, or even in a car in a dark parking lot, you matter. You are not invisible. Your life is worth fighting for. Some nights, the only thing standing between a person and the end of their story is a single, fragile thread of hope. A man once told his counselor, "If I can go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning with even the smallest bit of hope to survive one more day, I can keep going." He didn't say, "I need a perfect life." He didn't say, "I need everything fixed." He said one word: hope. Counselors, street workers, and volunteers repeat the same quiet prayer over and over again. Give yourself a chance. It can get better. Please give yourself a chance. But there's an enemy out there colder than any winter.
Well, the woman we spoke with lives at this site off of Northeast 112th Avenue. She says she supports the city's plan, which does include designated camping spots.
In Canada, in the United States, across North America, people without homes are not only fighting frostbite and hunger, they are fighting the way the world looks at them, or refuses to look at all. A man lies under the awning of a bank. A woman curls up on a bench at a bus stop, head buried in her jacket, wishing she could disappear. A teenager tucks himself into a corner of the subway, pretending to sleep so no one asks questions. No one wakes up and says, "Today I choose to lose everything. Today I decide to live outside." Life pushes them there. Through loss, illness, trauma, addiction, rent they can't afford, jobs that vanish overnight, and then society walks past them, as if their suffering is deserved, as if their pain is punishment, as if their life is already over. But what they need most is not another lecture, not just a handful of loose change. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They need to know they are still human in a world that feels too fast and too cold. Sometimes everything changes in a single small moment. A warm word, a look without judgment, a hand that reaches out instead of pulling away. Sometimes that is enough to pull someone back from the edge, because no one can live on contempt alone. No one can step out of the darkness if every door is slammed shut in their face. Canada is huge, winters are long, but human hearts can still bring warmth to the coldest streets. Often, the thing that keeps someone alive is not just a roof over their head. It is the feeling that somewhere, somehow, someone still believes they can stand up again. Welcome to Homeless Lens. This is where we look closely at the stories the world ignores.
And for a full look at that plan, again, the city's plan to address the homeless crisis in Vancouver, we'll have that on our website, kptv.com. In Vancouver tonight, Sarah Horwitz, Fox 12 Oregon.
The city that looks away. Let's begin in Los Angeles. The billboards shine, the freeways roar. The city sells a dream on every screen. But just beneath the glow, something is quietly falling apart. Official counts might say 70,000 people without homes. But anyone who walks the streets at sunrise knows the truth feels bigger, heavier, more unbearable. Rows of tents line the sidewalks, shopping carts packed with everything someone has left. Blankets on concrete, where sleep is more survival than rest. This crisis is not a slow drip, it's a flood. Last year, many of the people now sleeping on sidewalks were still paying rent. They had mailboxes, they had keys, they had neighbors. Then came a rent increase that swallowed half their paycheck, a job that disappeared overnight, a medical bill that tipped everything over, an emergency that hit like an invisible earthquake. Lives that seemed stable cracked in weeks. The fall was fast. The climb back up feels impossible. Under the overpasses of the freeway, whole blocks have turned into survival zones. People lie on thin mats or folded blankets, listening to cars thunder overhead. hoping the night passes without violence, without theft, without a health crisis they can't afford to treat. Shelters open their doors and fill up within minutes. Lines curl around the block. Staff have to say 3 words that crush the spirit. We're full. Sorry. Hundreds are turned away. Nowhere to go. No place to lock a door. No place to feel safe enough to close their eyes. On the other side of the city, outreach teams move through alleyways and tent encampments with backpacks full of water, bandages, and harm reduction supplies. They see what the city tries not to see. The cough that doesn't stop, the infected wound that never healed, the quiet person in the corner who hasn't moved in hours, thousands of emergency calls, people pushed to the limit of what a human body and a human mind can endure. This is what it looks like when a city quietly abandons its most vulnerable people. Not with a big announcement, not with a dramatic decision, just with a million small choices to look the other way. At Homeless Lens, we don't show these scenes to blame anyone who's fallen. We show them because every tent, every blanket, every bundle of belongings on a sidewalk is a story of someone who once had a different life. And if it could happen to them, it could happen to more of us than we want to admit. The silent battlefields of the North. Now, follow us into the narrow back alleys of Canada. Downtown Vancouver, the East Side. Here, the rain doesn't just fall, it lingers. Water fills potholes and cracks in the pavement. Tents sag under the weight of days of drizzle. Blankets never fully dry. Shoes are always damp. In these tight spaces, people battling homelessness and addiction crowd together, trying to stay warm, trying to stay alive. On the ground, crumpled foil, burnt cigarette filters, discarded lighters, scattered pieces of lives that used to be bigger than this tiny patch of concrete. Toxic street drugs often cut with fentanyl and other unknown chemicals turn these alleys into silent battlefields. There's no warning siren, no flashing alarm, just someone who suddenly stops talking mid-sentence, someone whose head slumps forward, someone whose body slides down a wall. Outreach workers and harm reduction teams carry backpacks filled with oxygen, naloxone, gloves, and basic medical supplies. They are not there to judge. They are there to keep as many people breathing as possible. They kneel on wet ground. They call out names. They check for a pulse. They stay until the person opens their eyes again or until help arrives. Across the country, in Toronto's hidden corners near Kensington Market and Parkdale, a different kind of cold cuts through the night. Here, freezing temperatures and unpredictable drugs combine into a dangerous cocktail. People collapse in alleys, on sidewalks, in quiet doorways where no one was supposed to be sleeping at all. Street teams walk these routes on repeat, hour after hour, looking for the signs. The person who is confused and can't form words. The person who is breathing too slowly. The person who has simply gone too still. In the old neighborhoods of Montreal, unstable chemicals in street drugs have led to more emergency calls than ever. The icy air makes it even harder for someone to stay conscious when their body is already struggling. Many people using these drugs are not chasing a thrill. They are trying to numb trauma, pain, grief, or memories they cannot escape. They reach for something to make the pain disappear for a moment, without really knowing what is in the bag or the pill or the powder. And yet, even in these brutal, unforgiving conditions, humanity still breaks through like a small light in a dark tunnel. A volunteer pauses instead of passing by. They sit down on the curb next to someone shaking in the cold. They talk. They listen. They slow their breathing so the other person can match it. Someone pulls out a phone and calls for help instead of assuming they're just high and walking away. A hot drink, a hygiene kit, a clean pair of socks. Tiny, almost invisible actions. But sometimes, those small things are the thread that keeps a person from giving up completely. If these realities stir something in you, sadness, anger, compassion, don't press pause on that feeling. Stay with it. And if you want these stories to stay in the light, instead of disappearing into the dark corners of the internet, subscribe to Homeless Lens. Because when you stay, you're saying to the people we're talking about, I see you. I'm still here. Streets of ice, hearts of flesh. Now, picture the streets themselves. Vancouver first. Rain falls in long, endless curtains. The sky feels close and heavy. Sidewalks turn into long, shallow rivers. Tents and tarps sag under the constant drip of water. Blankets and clothing stay wet for days. The smell of damp fabric, mold, and cold concrete hangs in the air. People move slowly, not because they're lazy, but because every step in wet socks and worn-out shoes feels like a small injury. They clutch plastic bags, backpacks, or shopping carts filled with their last belongings, trying to protect them from another storm. Toronto brings a different kind of brutality. Here, winter doesn't just arrive, it takes control. Trash, abandoned clothes, and forgotten belongings freeze into the ground. In parks like Moss Park and Trinity Bellwoods, the earth becomes a hard sheet of ice with memories trapped inside it. Coats turn stiff like armor. Shopping carts lock into frozen snowbanks and cannot be moved. Sidewalks become a dangerous blend of slick ice and deep exhaustion. City crews work constantly, clearing snow, trying to clean up. But the cold comes back faster than they can. For someone sleeping outside, every single night is a test. Will the layers of clothing be enough? Will the sleeping bag stay dry? Will they wake up in the morning at all? In Montreal, heavy snowfalls can bury entire tent encampments in a matter of hours. Tents buckle under the weight. Makeshift shelters collapse. Paths turn into pits of slush and ice. Rescue teams pull on thick boots and push through wind that burns the skin. They go tent to tent, calling out, "Are you okay in there? Can you answer me? Do you need to come with us?" These moments reveal how thin the line is between survival and tragedy. Across Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and many other cities, what some people see as mess or clutter on the sidewalks, the trash, the damp blankets, the worn-out shoes, are actually quiet signs of thousands of people trying to hang on, trying to keep a spot that feels a little bit familiar, trying to protect the last things that still belong to them. If you had to walk down these streets every single day, what would hit you hardest? The smell of wet concrete? The sight of someone shivering in 3 coats that still aren't enough? Or the way everyone else walks past with headphones in, eyes fixed straight ahead? Tell us in the comments. Your voice matters more than you think. And if you want more unfiltered stories from across Canada and beyond, subscribe to Homeless Lens so you don't miss the next chapter. Because these stories don't need more silence, they need more listeners. The weight of loneliness, the power of one kind act. There's another enemy that many people on the streets face, one that cuts deeper than wind and snow: loneliness. On busy sidewalks in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and Calgary, thousands of people march past those sitting or lying on the ground. Most never slow down. Some never even glance their way. Social workers say that many people living without homes can go weeks without hearing anyone say their name. Not "hey buddy," not "excuse me," their name. That silence is heavy. It eats away at their sense of being a person and not just a problem in the corner of someone else's day. For many, loneliness started long before they lost their housing. In Vancouver's Downtown Eastside, some of the people you see on the street once had families, jobs, holiday dinners, inside jokes, shared memories. Addiction, mental health issues, family conflict, or unpaid rent didn't just steal their roof. It stole their connection. In Montreal, older adults, many over 55, sleep on benches or stay in crowded shelters where they know almost no one. They carry whole lifetimes inside them. Stories of work, love, children, dreams. But there's often no space to tell those stories. Days blend together in waiting rooms, in lineups, in corners of rooms that don't quite feel safe. In cities like Winnipeg and Edmonton, many Indigenous people come in from distant communities. They arrive in big cities looking for opportunity, safety, or healthcare, and instead face discrimination, racism, and a sense of being strangers in a place that does not see them or their culture. Even in shelters filled with bunks, mats, and folding chairs, loneliness can be crushing. You can sleep 2 feet away from another person and still feel 1,000 miles away from real conversation, real understanding, real care. Staff do what they can, but the need is enormous. The pain is endless. The clock moves too fast, and yet, In the middle of all that isolation, small pockets of hope still open up. Peer support circles in Toronto, where people who have lived through homelessness help others on the same road. Storytelling groups in Montreal, where someone can finally sit down, breathe, and say, "This is what happened to me," and know they won't be mocked or ignored. Community art programs in Vancouver, where people create paintings, poems, and music instead of being reduced to a number on a form. In these spaces, something powerful happens. People are not seen as cases. They're seen as human beings. Not statistics, not stereotypes, not failures, just people with names, histories, and hearts. Loneliness is powerful. It can whisper, "You don't matter. You're already forgotten." But being recognized is even more powerful. Sometimes a simple hello breaks through the fog. Sometimes eye contact says, "I see you." Sometimes listening for one extra minute says, "You are not just background." If this message reaches you, whether you are watching from a warm living room or from a shelter, a tent, or a parking lot, hear this clearly. You still exist. You still matter. If you want to keep hearing stories that treat people without homes as people, subscribe to Homeless Lens. We're not here to exploit suffering. We're here to say, you are more than what happened to you. This story is not over. Behind the crisis of homelessness in Canada, the United States, and across North America, there is a simple truth. Real change doesn't just come from governments or big organizations. Real change starts with people. In Vancouver, old hotels are being turned into safe rooms where people who used to sleep outside can finally close a door and rest without fear. In Toronto, volunteers stand in the cold evenings handing out winter kits, gloves, heat packs, hot drinks, to people sheltering in building entrances and subway grates. In Calgary and Edmonton, local groups gather winter coats, boots, and blankets, and support programs for Indigenous families trying to reconnect, heal, and find stable housing. In Montreal, outreach teams walk frozen streets with hot meals, delivering them directly to tent encampments. They bring food, yes, but they also bring dignity. They look people in the eye and say, "You are worth this effort." In Ottawa and Halifax, young volunteers use social media to share stories, raise awareness, and pressure leaders to make housing and mental health support a priority, not an afterthought. They remind all of us, compassion grows when we refuse to look away. One person can't fix everything, but one person can start a chain reaction. A small donation, an extra coat you don't wear anymore, a few hours at a community kitchen, helping with a homeless count in your city, sharing a video or a story so more people understand what is happening just outside their own neighborhoods. These actions might feel small, but to someone facing a deadly winter night, they can feel like hope. Right now, Canada and much of the world is at a turning point. Behind the bright lights of Toronto and the calm beauty of Vancouver's coastline is a quiet, uncomfortable truth. A country struggling to protect its own people. One sudden rent increase, one lost job, one emergency room bill, one brutal winter. That's all it can take to push someone from stability into survival mode. In places like Winnipeg and Edmonton, the cold itself can be deadly. People are not only fighting poverty and loneliness, they are fighting a sky that drops the temperature to levels no human body can safely endure outdoors. And yet, many have nowhere else to go. They stand in line for shelters that are already full. They wrap themselves in every layer they own and still feel the cold burn their skin. Homelessness does not always scream for attention. Most of the time, it whispers. Through frozen fingers holding a paper cup, through quiet meals eaten alone in a crowded shelter, through old scars hidden under sleeves, through small acts of kindness that pass between strangers just trying to make it to tomorrow. This is the part that many never see, the humanity inside the struggle, the mix of fear, exhaustion, and dignity that people carry, even when all they own fits into a backpack or a plastic bag. And still, there is hope. Volunteers push carts filled with steaming food through the snow. Mobile nurses treat wounds no one else noticed. Communities turn motels into places where people can finally sleep in a real bed again. These moments remind us, The true strength of a nation is not measured in skyscrapers, or stock markets, or tourist photos. It's measured in how we treat the people everyone else tries not to see. Here is the hard truth. This crisis will not disappear just because we are uncomfortable with it. It will only change when enough of us decide that it matters. We need louder voices calling for affordable housing, for better mental health care, for systems that don't let people fall all the way to the ground before anyone notices. So let me ask you, what kind of country do we want to live in 5 years from now? One where suffering continues quietly in the shadows, or one where no one is left alone in the cold? If you are watching this, and these stories touched you even a little, your voice is more powerful than you think. Tell us in the comments, what do you believe needs to change first? And if you want to keep hearing honest stories from the streets, alleys, and shelters of North America, hit subscribe to Homeless Lens. Every view, every comment, every share helps keep these stories alive and reminds someone out there you are not forgotten. And if you are watching this from a shelter, from a tent, from a car, or from a sidewalk, listen carefully. You are not a lost cause. You are not a mistake. You are not invisible. God loves you. There are people who care. There are people fighting for you, even if you don't see them yet. Your story is not over.